God is moving. It's Young People Nation.
Welcome to Young People Nation. Listen to us weekly as we commit to bring transparency, healing, and truth to the everyday situations in life that might bring you down. Join us for your weekly dose of inspiration. Thank you for listening to Young People Nation. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now, here's your host, Eugene and Donna Perry.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Giving the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross.
Welcome back to our third session on boundaries. And again, we are joined with Miss Tiffany Hodge and Mr. Perry and myself. And we are just collaborating and learning about boundaries. Miss Tiffany Hodge is a licensed master social worker, so she is not just talking, she do the work. And that is one thing I love about her, because my husband and I have been in sessions with her. Mm-hmm. You've got to do the work.
Yes.
Correct, Miss Hodge?
That's it. You got to do the work.
You've got to do the work.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to do the work. And when you get this wisdom, you just do a self-assessment.
That's correct.
And get started.
Yep, because you're accountable to it now.
That's right, because you know.
Because you know now. That's correct.
All right. Well, we're going to be talking about relationship, boundaries.
Relationships.
That's across the board.
Yes.
I tell you, as a parent, I've had to learn boundaries when it came to our adult daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big one there.
Yeah.
That they're not little kids.
No.
They're not teenagers.
Right.
There's boundaries, and even boundaries when it comes to me and my husband.
That's correct.
So let's talk about relationship boundaries. And we talked about healthy versus unhealthy earlier, but we're going to talk about healthy versus unhealthy love.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad to be back. Thank y'all for having me. This
Anytime.
is super cool.
Yes, daughter.
Anytime.
To be with y'all. Healthy versus unhealthy love. Healthy love looks like, and this is not an exhaustive list. This is just a couple things that people can self-evaluate or do some self-assessment to see if they're actually checking off these boxes, if you will. Appreciation. Everybody wants to be appreciated for their efforts. And so making sure there is a balance in the love. Love is balanced.
Yes.
Okay. It's not overpowering at all.
And don't feel forced.
It's not forced at all. And everybody's valued in that, in that balance. Commitment, that's without saying, making sure you're committed to each other, but knowing that your commitment, especially if you're married, is beyond the two people that sit before us, making sure that you understand how this commitment works, and knowing that sometimes, when I counsel married couples, we would never, honestly, most people, and they will never admit this, but we would never join ourselves with other individuals because innately we are selfish. And so when we have decided that we are going to join ourselves with another selfish individual, we know that God has to be in there somewhere.
Yes.
Because we are self-indulging, and to know that I have to sacrifice myself. I'm going to use that word. I have to sacrifice myself for my partner, for God. That's commitment.
Yes.
And that I'm not only sacrificing myself for my partner, but for God, because that's what marriage is. If I can talk about it for just a few seconds here, when we walk out into the community and we are a family, God's glory is there.
Yes.
And the world sees it.
Yes.
Man, woman, and child. That is God in his true essence.
Yes.
And that is our commitment to serving in this community and being a service to God. So make sure that when you are marrying and your love, it can be healthy at times, it can be unhealthy at times, but your commitment is beyond yourself, and what we're doing is the commitment that we set before God.
Yes.
So that will make sure that love continues to remain healthy.
Yes.
Commonality. making sure that you have a few things in common. You might not have everything in common. I have a lot of people that talk about, oh, well, we had great energy together. Your energy has nothing to do with your commonality.
Yes.
Energy is always flowing. It's just a current. It's just something that's always moving around, right? Mm-hmm. But making sure if you're a reader, they're a reader. If you like math, he likes math. If you like skateboarding, he should like skateboarding. I don't know. If you like sushi, do you like sushi? Do you like Chinese food? Those are things that are commonality. They seem very simple on the basic level, but basics matter. Yes. Because that's what keeps us together.
Yes.
It's that fundamental thing that remember how we got here.
Yes.
So that's that commonality that we want to remember. Effective communication, which is always a big one. People don't know how to communicate. Communication is not just verbal, it is nonverbal, and making sure that they are being able to say what they need to say, be assertive, talking about those I statements that we talked about earlier, making sure we're doing that and being a good listener. Effective communication starts with listening. Mm-hmm. Yes. Somebody's got to listen. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a purpose.
Yes.
So we should be doing more listening than we do talking. Intimacy is beyond sexual.
That's right.
It is intellectual. It is.
What?
It is. Yeah. Yeah, you know that, Papa Perry.
Yeah.
Intimacy is a
yes.
It is in the mind. And that's where it could be captivating, and sometimes that's how people get. Sometimes that's how people get lost, because they have been intellectually engaged with people, mm-hmm. and they don't know that they're bad people for them, but they've captivated their mind.
Yes,
because if I can guide your mind and I can captivate your mind, your body is easy to control, right?
That's good right there. Say that one more time.
Yeah, so if I can captivate your mind, then your body is easy to control.
Wow.
Because that's just physical. It's the mind that people want to control. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because the body is just what it is.
Yes.
But it's the mind that has the power. Good. Right? And then you have self-confidence, making sure that you understand who you are. And your partner is doing the same thing. Empathy. Some people... Empathy is something different, and so people I might not sympathize with you. That means I might not have gone through what you went through, but I can empathize with you. I can only imagine that. So making sure that we are able to exemplify that. Just being a listening ear is a good way to show that you are empathetic to people. And independent, you got to be out here to be able to know that you have a purpose, and that there are some things that you must do outside of a love relationship. You have to be able to go out here and independently make sure that what your purpose is still being hit, and you are driving toward what you are created to do in life. And conflict resolution. Solving problems, people. We have a hard time, just problem solution.
Yes.
We like to talk about it.
It's not one of my strong points. Get to the point.
Get to the point. So get to the point so we can get to the resolution.
Yes, that's
right.
Yes,
because all the details is great.
Yeah,
but it can be overbearing.
Yes,
because I understand what you're saying. So let's just get to the point of what it is that we're trying to do. Unhealthy looks like denial. Is ignoring. Projection is big. People love to project. That's you made me feel, or I see that you're acting like this, when it's really it's your fault. It's your fault while I'm doing this. It's the pot calling the kettle black. That's the thing. Remember in the first session we talked about our ancestors, or those that came before us.
Yes,
they talked about boundaries in their own way, and that was another one.
Yes,
the pot calling the kettle black.
That sounds like blame.
Yeah.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? So that's another way that they were talking about boundaries without saying that that's what it was, but that's what it is. Threats, those idle threats. People, well, if you don't do this, then this is going to happen, or I told you if you call the school, they were going to take the kids from us. So it's those idle threats that usually happen when we have unhealthy relationships. Self-sabotage and sabotaging, just downright denying and corrupting your own self and the relationship. It happens a lot. People will self-sabotage things, and they will sabotage themselves in relationships a lot. Put downs. If anybody's, I mean, I'm not gonna say putting people down is good. It's not. It's terrible. There's a difference between putting people down and saying you have some bad behavior.
Correct.
Well, basically, the put down and all is the person putting the person down, trying to feel good about themselves.
There you
Correct.
go.
But,
Yes.
and that's why I wanted to differentiate between the two.
Yes.
Because some people may be like, well, I'm not putting them down. I'm just trying to help them. No, you're putting them down. You know, if you don't have an encouraging word to say to people, just kind of keep it to yourself. Think before you speak.
Yes.
You know, is it helpful? Is this going to be thoughtful? Is it
Building.
Is it building them?
Yes.
And if it's not, then maybe I just need to refrain from saying it. And that's another thing. Minimizing and trivializing that. Is that right? That's how you say that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
distractions. You know, people are very distractive when they are when they are in unhealthy relationships. You're always trying to distract people from their purpose. And you're distracting people from what they are supposed to be doing independently, building self-confidence. All of those things that you would see in a typical healthy relationship is really distorted in an unhealthy relationship.
This is really good. And so I hope our audience was listening, the difference between a healthy versus an unhealthy. And in summarizing, the healthy, you should be built up.
Correct.
And the unhealthy, you're going to be torn down.
Right.
There's no leveling up.
Right.
In that.
Right.
It's not. It's it just doesn't do nothing for you.
It does nothing for you.
And that's across the board. Any relationship.
But you know, the only problem with it is you have to be totally honest with yourself in the relationship. And then the big factor is you know what right look like.
That's right.
Right.
And
But right can be subjective, because what's
Talk
right
about
to
that.
you is not right to me.
Okay.
Right.
Got you.
so that means how you were raised.
Correct. Absolutely. And that's why you have to understand what your boundaries are, because what my boundary is, yours isn't. And so that's why, beautifully put, because that's why when I'm dating you and I understand, oh, wait a minute, that's a boundary that I might end up violating that boundary in me to be with this person. So therefore I need to back out.
Yes.
Because this is what's right to me.
That's good.
And that is not what's right to them. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. And
It's
there's
just
nothing
that
wrong with the person either.
There's nothing wrong with them. It's
Right.
just, this isn't going to fare well with us.
Yes.
And so therefore I'm able to cut it quickly.
Yes.
And
that's wisdom.
Yeah, there's no sexual tie in there. There's no emotional tie in there. This is all facts.
Wow.
So it's easier for me to walk away.
But with all that, you have to separate how you were raised and the type of family you came from. Because I had an example of that when I was in the service. This young lady told me, I thought we would get in a fight every night and make love. That was normal.
That was normal, right? That was normal for her. So then you understood. Wait a minute. This might be too much for me. This is not what's healthy for me. This is violating my boundary.
Right.
I like her. I think she's a great person. But this ain't how I get down.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So we're not
even fit to do this.
Right. We're not even gonna start nothing. We're not gonna be like, well, that's just and
Right.
try to go in and fix things.
Right.
But then you got to see things as they truly are.
Yeah.
Because
And-
you can't, the fantasy world.
Right. And a lot of times that's how people get messed up, because now we've had sex
Yep.
and now I can't just cut the tie.
Yep.
Ooh.
And everybody else that came with it.
Yeah. And now I done took you to see my grandma and took you
Yep.
to the home house and we done had Thanksgiving and you, woohoo.
Yep. Don't spend that money.
Right. And here I am violating my boundaries, and now I'm in an unhealthy
And
relationship.
now I'm not happy.
I'm not happy.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Then it just spills over into so
It
many
does.
other
Do you see
levels.
how that just
yes,
rolls?
it just rolls over all into their job and into your community. And it starts back with you.
Yep, it sure did.
That you recognize. I love that to be intellectually
Yeah.
tied first.
Yes.
And you don't need to know about my previous relationships and my upbringing and all that. You don't need to know that.
You don't need to know that.
Right.
We ain't there yet.
Yes.
We're not on a verge of marriage.
Yes.
For me to share that with you. My emotional information is only shared with my husband. That's it.
Yes.
Period. Nobody else should know that. Because that's the person that I've decided to tie myself with.
Yes. life.
Okay, life, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and commitment and marriage is God's idea. It's not ours.
Correct.
And so we're trying to move into a space where we want to be married, but we don't want God in it.
Yeah.
But you want him to come in when you want to
Right.
kick him in, kick
Kick him out, kick him in, but you knew before you married him, he had no boundaries as it related to your relationship. And so therefore we are violating all of our spaces just to be with people. And that is not safe. And then we find ourselves in these situations.
And I would even say, even with family members sometimes.
Absolutely.
With your family members, they may be on a different journey, and that's fine.
Yep.
It doesn't mean they don't love you and you don't love them.
Right.
But you just can't go invade in their space.
You can't.
Because they're somewhere else.
That's
And
right.
you have to respect that.
A lot of times these family members and all, they try to predict your relationship like what they want theirs to be.
Correct. Oh, projecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they only knew.
If they only knew.
Yeah.
Mind your business.
Right. If you knew the detail of the work. That's like some people, they look at a person and they're like, man, I would love to be their husband or wife. You don't know the work it
You
takes to
don't
be
know.
with that person.
They have no idea. Right.
Okay, you would be out.
Okay.
Yep.
You wouldn't last.
Okay, and what's some of the methods a person can use to set up healthy love boundaries?
Learn we can learn what our limits are and our rules as they pertain to love. Make sure we are not violating our own boundaries. Remember, boundaries are for you and they're not for others. So just making sure you spend adequate quality time with yourself so you can learn to identify what your boundaries are, or AKA your standards. What do they look like? What are my absolutes? What are those things? What am I willing to deal with and not deal with? But again, that takes time for you to spend by yourself to get these answers. You're not going to get these answers with people.
That is so good. And what is some things you would advise for setting relationship boundaries? What are some of your nuggets that you give in your sessions for setting relationship boundaries?
I always, advise anybody that asks me anything about relationship is to know your limits, know your values. Self-awareness is everything when it comes to relationships, because that's where your emotions lie. You understand what they are. You know what your triggers are. You know what you're willing to deal with and not deal with because you spent time with yourself. Self-awareness is all about self, and it's not selfish to spend time with yourself. I always advise young people who are not married to really honor that time, because you have the time to set those limits, know your values, making sure you are assertive, respecting yourself, all of those things. But that is developed during that time that you get by yourself. Because once you're married, you're in it.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times we get in these situations and we're trying to define ourselves, and that's not the time to do it. You have to do that previously. You have to do that in those 20s, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Those are the times where you can actually learn how assertive communication. You learn how self-control looks like for you, what self-respect is for you. Because a lot of times once you leave your home as an 18-year-old person, that's when you really get out here and figure out, this is what I'm made of. Yeah. So just know that it's a beautiful thing to be alone, and it's a beautiful thing to be with someone when you are healthy.
Isn't that something?
When you are healthy.
When you're healthy.
Yes.
You showing right now through all that turmoil and everything, 22 years down in marriage, and all of a sudden you want to, hey, that's it for me, I'm out.
Yeah.
You see it a lot.
Yeah, you do.
After 22, 30 years and all, you want to do sports car.
Well, you already know. Okay. Well, thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Miss Hodge. And, this has been very rich for me. I've been married to Mr. Perry for 38 years.
Wow.
That's right.
And so, one thing with us, and he said divorce was never an option, but we have to do the work.
Got to do the work.
Okay, well, this has been our third session. And we're giving our emergency hotline because we never know who's listening. The 988, that's 24/7. I text home to 741-741. and 1-800-950-NAMI. That's 1-800-950-6264. All right, Mr. Perry.
Hey, take your time to find out where you are, whether you're living or just existing. It's been Young People Nation, and remember, there's always hope.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know His word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross. He the #1 prospect. He the top boss. I was broke, I was empty. He the one that paid the cost. Really thought that I was cool. There was nothing like the Savior. Now it's time for the truth. The whole world been waiting. It's Young People Nation. 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 The whole world been waiting. Whatever you going through, I know what He gonna do. Don't matter the circumstance, we going back to the root. Keep going, keep going. Let that seed keep growing. You need peace and we know it. Now it's time to live holy. Young People Nation. You know what time it is. Young People Nation. Get ready, the time is here. Get ready, we vibing here. We about to let God in here. Young People Nation. It's Young People Nation. Yeah, do it for the heavens, you know where we going. Influenced by His love, you know we gotta show it. It's time to put the youth onto what God is doing. Cause I can tell you now, right now, that God is moving. It's Young People Nation.